I know, for saying this isn't a Smash channel, I do way too much Smash stuff. But it makes sense right now. For one, it's the thing me and every other nerd is currently obsessed with, especially with all the DLC speculation going around. And it's generally a fun, easy way to be creative while I work on bigger projects like music. Oh, and there's the fact that another Moveset video on a rumored DLC character is the most successful thing on my channel by a long shot. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a few more of these here and there. With all that out of the way, welcome back to another Smash Bros. Ultimate Moveset. As you already know, this one's about the contentious Microsoft rep challenging old and new icons, and rightfully so with the groundbreaking success of his series. It's Steve from Minecraft. Do I even need to explain what Minecraft is? Since its release in 2009, it's erupted in popularity, was bought by Microsoft in 2014, has influenced basically all of gaming to some extent, especially at the time, and now sits as the second best-selling game right behind Tetris. Okay, Minecraft is huge. I think the biggest point of contention when it comes to Steve and Smash is that Steve isn't what people think about when they think Minecraft. They think about the blocky design, the crafting, the survival aspects, but not the default playable character. Despite that though, Steve is the face of the game, maybe along with creepers, and more importantly, Steve could serve as a really cool bridge to introducing an entirely new way to fight in Smash. So let's get into the moveset and how he'd work. Another sticking point when it comes to talking about Steve is how he'd look in Smash, specifically how he'd move. Would it be the same extremely stiff look of Minecraft itself, or would it be more fluid like the Minecraft story games? In my concept, I chose to stick primarily to the original animation. After all, we've seen characters with strange sharp animation in Smash before, so I don't think it'd be too out of place for Steve to stay true to his game of origin. However, I do allow for a little more flexibility around the joints to emphasize things like smash attacks. A couple more aesthetic things before we dig in. First, taunts. Up taunt would have Steve face the camera and do something. Maybe a pose or nod or something. Side taunt has Steve drop a random item in front of him and quickly pick it up, similar to Pac-Man's taunt. Finally, his down pulls out a nice bed and has him go to sleep until he moves or gets hit. Also, here are my ideas for his palette swaps. Of course, Alex is his first swap, and all of them could just be recolors of those two, but there's a lot of unique stuff in Minecraft, so I think some of these are reasonable options. The only one I could see switching is the Mario skin being swapped with Banjo, but I'm gonna leave it as Mario for now in hopes of Banjo getting it separately. Beyond that unique animation and flair though, Steve is physically pretty average. Average speed, strength, jump, weight. I wanted him to not only feel like he does in Minecraft, but also be somewhat easily accessible for players new and old. That said, his moveset isn't exactly pick up and master. When making movesets, usually instead of focusing on one weapon like a sword, I like to bring in lots of stuff from the game and have them represented in cool individual moves. So, while Steve may feel easy to play, he'll also have a layer of technicality that'll take skill to fully use. Let's start as I always do with the basics. Jabs, tilts, aerials, and grabs. Naturally, Steve's jab would be a simple, single punch straight out of Minecraft. Not much knockback or damage, but a good single disrupting hit. His grabs would share this simpler approach, as would his neutral up and back air attacks. However, Steve's other moves begin to take more interesting attacks and items from his game. His running A would have him lash out with a diamond sword, as would his forward air, doing a lot more damage and knockback. Side tilt similarly would be a diamond axe, but would have a little less finisher potential. These last three basic moves all start to get a little more tricky to use. Up tilt has Steve punch up on a diagonal with a block of gravel for immediate damage, then drop it to bury the opponent. Down tilt is a quick strike of the flint and steel setting fire to the stage, and finally down air drops a flashing block of TNT doing minor damage as it hits people while it falls, then exploding with crazy power. Now let's move on to his smash attacks. Compared to some of his trickier tilts and aerials, these are fairly tame. Forward smash is a simple strong slash with a diamond sword, up smash charges a bow and arrow shot on an upwards diagonal, and down smash is a rush of 4 hits with the diamond pickaxe good for drawing enemies in and building damage. As you can see from a lot of his moves, Steve is all about keeping the action in front of him to do his best work, in the spirit of how he fights in Minecraft itself. Next is the part of any moveset with the highest potential to stand out, the special moves. Neutral special has a couple options, so I'll go back to that in a second. The moves I'm sure of are Steve's side special, which has him rocket across the map in a minecart that slows down after a fast start, great for ramming enemies. His up special, using the electric cape to have a controlled gliding recovery. and his down special where he pulls out a cooked pork chop and goes to town, recovering a little bit of health. Now, as I said, Steve's neutral special has two main options. One is simple. Steve places a dirt block and is able to build on it and around the stage to greatly alter the terrain. This is a great fundamental piece of the character and Minecraft, so it should be in his most emblematic move. But if we really wanted to get tricky, we could instead use a move called Inventory. This is similar to Shulk's Monado arts or my moveset for Silex and the affinity weapons. With Inventory, Steve has the ability to toggle between 9 different moves, each with its own cooldown. A stack of 12 dirt blocks like I just described, a patch of spider webs slowing down enemies, a bucket of water that pushes everyone away from the source, great for edge guarding, 4 splash potions of harming, basically a fast damage projectile, diamond armor giving you crazy buff defense but making you slower and heavier like metal, an ender pearl letting you teleport wherever it explodes, a potion of strength giving you increased damage and knockback for a time, a pressure plate that detonates with TNT when stepped on, and lastly a spawn egg, which is thrown to spawn a random Minecraft mob to deal damage to enemies. This could be a zombie, skeleton, spider, a creeper or an enderman, or a cow that does nothing. As you can see, Steve's specials could kind of go either way, being simple to use and understand, or very tricky and circumstantial. Leave a comment telling me which approach you liked more. To cap it off, Steve's final smash. For this, I landed on a move called The End, where Steve pops down a portal to the end that sucks people into a cutscene where they're rushed by Endermen and finished off by the Ender Dragon. I could also see a similar idea but with the Nether, or something different like Nighttime where Steve builds a house as the stage gets darker and hides from a wave of mobs similar to Olimar, or it could just be a lot of falling TNT. Still, I think The End would be a cool way to do it. And that wraps up Steve's moveset. Honestly, I wasn't that big a fan of Steve before making it, but once I did I really saw his potential as a fighter and now would be equally happy with either him or Banjo getting in. But before we talk about that rivalry, let's cover some things Steve could bring with him. We don't exactly know yet if things like spirits or assist trophies come with the paid DLC, but I really don't think it's out of the question. For spirits, well, Steve could be Microsoft's first rep in Smash ever. Minecraft, rare properties like Banjo and Battletoads and what's been data mined, Halo, Gears of War, Cuphead, the sky's the limit with what could pop up, especially if we get both Steve and Banjo. As for assist trophies, I think a Creeper assist trophy would be the most likely since it's so iconic and you already completely know how it would work. I could also see a general mob assist trophy like I talked about in one of my older videos, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't a Creeper or a horde of Creepers. As for a stage, I also already talked about this in that same video, but to reiterate, I think the best idea would be having a changing stage similar to the Mario Maker stage, with the layout being randomized every time and shifting from day and night in the overworld to the nether to the end. Each could have unique stage hazards like mobs, nether enemies like Ghast and Blaze, and a stage boss in the Ender Dragon. Though if that was the case, then Steve's neutral B would probably just be block placing. Either way, a Minecraft stage would work really well. And before we get to chances, as I always do, I like to think of a reveal trailer. There's a few ways this could go, but assuming Steve came in as Microsoft's first rep, I'd imagine it feels similar to the Better Together commercial, focusing on the Nintendo Red and then adding in Microsoft Green and the classic Xbox sound swooping into the color, revealing the world of Minecraft and Steve. It's simple, but for such a big occasion, it would have all the impact it would need. So, with all that in mind, the success of Minecraft, Steve's moveset potential, and everything Microsoft could bring to Smash, what are his chances? I want to ignore things like rumors and leaks because in terms of DLC, I feel like it's more or less a shot in the dark. Joker proof that anything could happen. So, on his own without those rumors, what has to go right for Steve to get into Smash? Well, with the Microsoft rep, it's basically a three-way battle between the relevant and crazy popular and influential Steve, the longtime fan request and classic icons Banjo and Kazooie, and the through-and-through Microsoft rep Master Chief. Each has their own merits and setbacks. Steve comes from the second most successful video game ever with a really unique presentation and core mechanics that lend themselves to a cool moveset, but fights with not being as iconic as the game itself or certain enemies, and being a newer character in the grand scheme of things. Banjo and Kazooie have the fan vote after being quintessential platforming icons and mascots of an era, but lack both relevance and potential of resurgence due to their handling by Microsoft. And Master Chief has been Microsoft's main man since the eruption that was the first Halo, and is one of, if not the most recognizable face of the FPS genre, but hasn't been faring as well with his franchise recently, and broadly just doesn't have the numbers or fan appeal that the other two have. The real contenders here, I feel, are Steve and Banjo, and it all comes down to Microsoft's priorities. Do they want to cater to the general gaming audience at large, or the niche old school hardcore gamers with intense devotion? Moreover, could both make it into the game? They clearly know that people want Banjo, but also know that the world loves Minecraft, and if any new third-party company were to get 2 reps out the gate, it makes sense to be Microsoft with these two. If it's only one though, truthfully for me it's 50-50. I'd be happy with either. I think Banjo better fits the idea that everyone is here, as he's been considered since Melee, but I think a lot of people are way too dismissive of Steve as a viable fighter. Whichever character they choose, I just hope we get some DLC news soon. And thus another moveset is done, the first since the game's release. I still have a couple characters I'd love to make movesets for, but I'm trying to spread out the Smash content more since I've been going pretty hard recently. Do expect more in the near future though. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe and let me know what you think of this concept, check out Fantasy Smash Ball, and stay tuned for my other regular series like 4 Minutes 4 and the Show. See you then!